Hello, everyone, and welcome to ILHC's 2020 LED series. My name is Ryan Swift, and I am thrilled to be bringing you the first of the three LED sessions this year at ILHC 2020. It is part of the ILHC Legacy Series, which, in partnership with the Houston Swing Dance Society and Swing Bud, the goal is to interview legacy Lindy Hoppers and capture an honest retelling of their individual stories. Today's conversation, as I said, is part of ILHC 2020 virtual edition, and it will be part of the Swing Dance Museum. The series is free for everyone as part of virtual ILHC 2020 and is being seen on various streaming platforms and will be archived for future viewing and listening pleasure. Without any further ado, I am thrilled to once again speak with a living legend. I had the honor of speaking with her last year in front of a live audience, and that was a thrill and just so delightful. And once again, I will give an introduction to a dancer who very likely does not need one. Sugar Sullivan, our guest today, was part of the third generation of Savoy Lindy Hoppers. She was
Hello, Ryan. How you doing?
Hi, Sugar. How are you? I'm going to give a quick bio for anyone that might not know who you are. Sugar was instructed in tap by Buster Brown at age 7, started her career as a performer, choreographer, teacher, professional dancer by the age of 9. She was seduced by Lindy Hop in 1944 and won the Harvest Moon Ball in 1955 and toured the United States and Canada for 15 years with Sonny Allen and his Rockets in their Song and Dance Review. We talked a lot about that last year. I'm thrilled to once again speak with Sugar Sullivan. Hi, Sugar. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Trying to stay safe like everybody else.
Staying safe. No, it's hard to do. It's hard to stay home. But I want to thank you for joining us on Zoom, which is not, the favorite way for anyone to do this, but I'm thrilled we have the opportunity to chat. And as I was just saying, last year we had a wonderful conversation and you told us so much about how you started dancing and dancing at the Savoy Ballroom and dancing in the 40s and 1950s and the incredible story you told about the Harvest Moon Ball and dancing on the Ed Sullivan Show and things after that. So I thought today we could talk about some of the dancing that you did after the Harvest Moon Ball, some of the professional dancing that you did, and talk a little bit about dancing during what many folks call the revival in the 1980s, and then witnessing a second revival when I started, or the tail end of a revival maybe, when I started dancing in the 90s, and a little bit about the dance scene today. So let's just dive right in because we've only got an hour and I know you've got so many stories to share. Can you tell me what it was like after the Harvest Moon Ball? You won. You said you became, and you won with your husband, George. And you said you instantly became professional dancers. What did that mean, and what was that like for you?
Well, when you won first place in either one of the categories that they had in the Harvest Moon Bowl, you signed contracts that night. As part of your winnings, you signed contracts for professional performances in theaters and nightclubs and things like that. So that made you a professional dancer. Right away, you were automatically professional because you had to fulfill a professional engagements.
And what kind of engagements did you have? Was it television? Was it movies? Was it?
We appeared on Ed Sullivan's uh, show, and we also did. We appeared at the Latin Quarters, which was a nightclub, and theater was Radio City Music Hall, and there was a couple of other theaters. Right now, I can't remember the names of them. That's a lot of years ago.
It was
Yeah, so those were your contracts that you signed that night after they pronounced that you were the first place winner.
amazing. And
Yes.
had you known Sonny Allen? He won in 1958, I believe, a couple of years after you did.
Yes.
Did
Well,
you?
He came up to the Savoy,
Mm,
and after I think I won the Harvest Mover, he started coming to the Savoy, and he entered in 1958, and right away he won first place, which was unusual to win it the first year you enter.
mhm.
Yes, so that's how I met Sonny Allen.
Fantastic. And
He was a tap teacher at that time at a dancing school, and then he started Lindy Hopper. I didn't know he was a tap teacher till after I got to know him, because I was helping his partner when he entered the Harvest Moon. Well, I was helping his partner and with the steps and help teaching the steps and things like that.
so you have things in common.
Yes, we did.
So did you first tour, was the first time you toured as a dancer, was that with Sonny, or did you tour before that? I know we talked last time a little bit about touring with Cab Calloway, which was
No, that wasn't before. No,
Mm.
that wasn't until the 80s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I didn't tour. My husband and I fulfilled a gig that the winners before we won, they won, and they couldn't fulfill this particular gig because they had so many commitments at the time. So they sent us to Montreal, Canada. Mr. Buchanan sent us to Montreal, Canada to fulfill this particular gig because they couldn't make it. And that was the only time that I had toured, though,
I see. And Mr.
before touring with Sonny.
Got it. And Mr. Buchanan was from the Savoy Ballroom.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
He was the manager or owner of Sullivan at that time. Yeah.
Right. So what was I'm curious, dance doesn't necessarily have a prominent place in popular culture right now as far as performances. It's part of, musical concerts, and musicals are actually making a big comeback in movies and on Broadway. Broadway is going as strong as ever. Could you just tell us a little bit of what the popular culture was like when you were dancing and performing? Was it a big part of TV? Was it a big part of the movies? Has it changed to what you see?
There were, let's see, during that time, I don't think there was a lot of musicals going on in movies at that time.
Mm,
During the 50s. I don't think so. I'm not sure, but I don't think so. Because I used to go to see a lot of them in the 40s. I went to see a lot of musicals they had in the movies. I used to do that then. But I don't think they were in the 50s.
so was it a novelty for folks to see partner dance on stage and screen?
No, not really. No, at that time people were doing well, disco came in, and you know and right, Sherry, disco, yeah,
So
disco was popular at that time. Yeah,
I
they
read
had,
you did a little bit of, and it wasn't your favorite.
no, not really. No.
Not mine either. The
Oh, we loved my Lindy.
So, we actually got a question. Speaking of your favorite style of dance, we got a question from one of the junior jitterbugs in Cleveland, named Gabby, and she was curious what your favorite style of dance was.
Lindy Hop.
Hop?
Boy, Lindy Hop was my favorite style of dancing. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then the next was tap.
tap.
Tap was my first love. Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but
Um,
Lindy Hop was my favorite. Yes, all
me,
my life.
me too. Me too. So, uh, in the 70s, disco came around. People were doing the hustle. Uh, my impression, this was a little bit before my time, but my impression is uh, that swing dancing faded a little bit from the spotlight. But in the early 1980s, I've seen a lot of video and read a lot about kind of a resurgence of swing dancing, especially in New York City, in the early 1980s. And you were kind of at the center of that too. Can you
Right.
talk a little bit about the swing dance
True.
world?
Because that was during the time that I was asked to join Cab Calloway's band, and he was going on tour, and he wanted Lindy Hoppers on his show. So I was told to get me a partner because I didn't have a partner at that time, and get me another couple. So that's what I did. And the four of us, we went on tour with Cab. We went to a couple of places in Canada, and we ended up the tour at Kennedy Center in Washington D.C.
Oh, wow.
And during the time that they was doing the hustle, I was still doing Lindy Hop. I would go to dances, and somebody, a guy would ask me to dance, and I said, I don't hustle. He says, oh, okay, I said, but I'll do the best I can. And I would get on the floor and dance with them, and I could keep up with them. I could do I had to like cut my steps a little bit, but I was able to do the hustle. And then when I would go in the ladies' room, and a young lady would say, "Where'd you learn to hustle like that?" I said, "Honey, I don't hustle. I don't know how to do the hustle." I said, "I'm doing Lindy Hop." She said, "What?" I said, "Lindy Hop from the 40s years ago," like that. And she said, "Oh, really?" She said, "Well, you got some tricky steps. I like your steps." So everybody thought I was doing the hustle, but I was doing Lindy Hop.
Did
I
you
never learned hustle.
did you go out social dancing frequently? Was that a big pastime for you?
Not frequently, but once in a while I would go out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I used to go to, like, when my daughter would go dancing, I would go to see what they were doing at that time, and I didn't care for it much. So. I didn't like it much. No. Yeah. I used to go to her school when they had something, high school. Hear her in the background. She said,
Right.
"Oh, they had something at her school. I would go and dance. See what she didn't like. Take it over. Yeah, I would take over the dance floor."
Well, it's hard to keep a star out of the spotlight, they say.
Yeah, what can I tell you? What can I tell you? If I hear good music, I'm gonna dance to it.
Fantastic. So I'd love to hear a little bit of dancing, about dancing in the early 1980s. And I actually found a clip on Sunny Allen's YouTube channel. And I would love to share it with you, just a piece of it, if
Okay.
you mind having a watch with me.
Okay.
This was something that I don't know that I had ever seen before, and it blew me away. So I'm going to see if I can share my screen, and let's see, share screen. Here we go. Can you see this video?
Yes.
Can you still see the video?
Uh-huh.
Great. I'm going to push.
Okay.
And
I can only see part of it.
We'll watch it. Right now, it's just feet.
Just feet. That's what they're showing. Just feet. Okay. And that was at Sandra Cameron's dance studio. They would have dances there, maybe like on a Friday night, and she got a lot of the older dancers to come up.
So
Al Mims is there.
Mm-hmm.
Al Mims, and I think Norma Miller was there that night. Oh gosh,
And
Sonny was there.
Somebody that I recognize, I think,
Yes.
in a cream. That's Al Mins.
Yes, that's Al Mims.
Over Al's right shoulder, I believe that's Sunny Allen.
That's Sonny, and that's me. Yeah, I'm next to Sonny.
Jumping at the woodside.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to stop.
I had on a knitted knickers outfit.
And we picked up, and you finished with Sunny, and then moved on to Frankie Manning.
Yes, that's Frankie. Yes.
And moved on to Al Mims.
Al Mims, right.
Now, I could watch this all day, but I'm going to stop it after I look at your footwork, which is fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna pull away, and I'm gonna say, this is amazing. I had never seen this before. this is on Sunny's YouTube channel. I'll post a link for it for everyone so they can watch it. It's about 7 minutes long.
Right.
Was this something that you did regularly? This was 1983. Was this something you did regularly, or was this kind of a one-off?
Well, they would have dances sometime on Friday nights at Sandra Cameron's studio, and she would let us know, and we would come down, yeah, and go there. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And was that kind of the first time that group got together since, you know, the early days, or did folks get together regularly?
Oh no, that was like unusual night. Yes.
Yeah.
Like that people were available, you know. Yes, it was because some of them were performing other places at that time, traveling and that type of thing. So it was unusual to get all of them together like that. Yes.
That's amazing. And around that time is when Al started teaching, I understand, and Frankie did as well.
It's in the Cameron studio, right?
For Cameron, I recognize that studio. I recognize that room.
Yes, yes, yes. And um, Sandra used to call me when like Frankie would take a vacation, you know, in the summertime, maybe he'd take a week or something, and she would call me and ask me to come to fill in, you know, to teach, you know, and I would go down and do that. Yeah.
How did you like teaching? Was that the first time you taught Lindy?
Well, I didn't care for it at that time because I hadn't really started teaching, you know, at that time, and it was new to me. And everybody wanted me to count, and I said we didn't count it this way. We don't count, you know. I said I don't count, you know. And at that time, I don't think Frankie had started counting yet, because later on he did. I think kind of incorporate a little counting, you know, because we would sing things. We would sing our steps. That's the way we learned how. And that's what we used to do in dancing school when we did tap dancing. We would sing our steps, you know, but we didn't count like 1, 2, 3, that type of thing. Yeah, I've never learned to count. I don't like it. I don't. No.
You're not the first person that I've heard that from.
But my concentration, you know, the count rather than what the steps I'm actually doing. You know, I never like that.
Yeah, you know, I've seen a little bit of, you know, when I started dancing in the late 1990s, everyone was counting. That was just the only way, and that was the first time I ever really learned to dance. But I'm seeing now a lot of instructors and a lot of the kind of prominent international instructors that a lot of the folks that are watching would know are sometimes are moving away from counting and
Yes,
back to singing things. You think that's a good
a
thing?
lot away from, you know, you want to express yourself in your steps, and that takes a lot away from it when you have to count.
Yeah. So when you say that you sung your steps, was it just like scatting or
Sort of something like that? Yes, it's similar to scanning.
Yeah.
Similar to scanning. Yeah.
And did you start dancing with Al at that time?
I was dancing with Al in like I think 82. I think I was dancing with Al in 1982. Yeah.
And what was that like? Were you? I've seen some kind of TV footage around, and did you just kind of bop in when someone asked you to come in and say, "Hey, can you show us this dance from?" Well, I guess it would have been 40 years ago.
Ask that question again.
Sure. How did that happen? Like when you got called to a TV show or a stage show, did they just call you or Al and say, "Hey, we're interested in"?
Oh, no. Well, at that time, Larry Schultz was our manager.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Schultz called me one day, and he said, "Sugar," he says, are you doing any dancing right now?" And I says, "No, not really." You know, he says, "I'd like to be your manager, and I have a partner for you." And he said, "I'd like to be a manager." I said, "But," he said, "I know." He says, "But I have a partner for you." Because I was about to tell him, "I don't have a partner. I'm not dancing now, you know." So, and I says, he says, "And I think you know the person." And I said, "Who is that?" And he said, "Al Mims." I said, "Yes." You know, I didn't even think about it because I loved dancing with Al Mims when he used to come up to the Savoy once in a while.
So you knew Al from the Savoy in the
Right. Yeah, they used to come up once in a while when they were like in town, because at that time when the Savoy was still open, and him and Leon James, they would come up and dance with us, in the circle and that type of thing. And they were on the road at that time. They were entertaining everywhere. But
Yeah.
when they were off, they would come up, and we loved dancing with them.
And were you friendly with Al before then, or was he just someone that popped in once in a while and was like, oh hey, here's this guy, he's on TV and in the movies?
I knew who he was when he came up to Savoy, so right away we were friends. Right away, yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
And
So Al got us together, and he brought us down to Santa Cameron Studio, and we rehearsed there, and we got a routine together, and then we started entertaining. And he would call, Al would call us. I mean, Larry would call us and say, "I have a gig for you such a time." And we were working with the Harlem Blues and Jazz Band,
mm,
and he would tell us, okay, I have a gig for you Friday night or Saturday night, that type of thing, in such a place, and he would also call us to do little TV shorts, because he says, I may call you and tell you to be at studio such a thing at a certain time. He says you may not have much time to get there, so he says no problem. So whenever he would call us, we would make it there. He said you got 20 minutes or half an hour or something like that, because we had to come from Harlem downtown. So yeah, we would break our necks to get down there, and he put us on the air.
yeah, I know he had a lot of connections at Channel 4.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So when you were at Sandra Cameron, rehearsing and sometimes teaching, do you have any memories of what the community was like at that time? It wasn't like it is now. I mean, Sandra Cameron doesn't have a studio in the same way, but the community wasn't the same as it is now. Can you remember what it was like for you and the people that were veteran dancers, and kind of what the people
There
were?
wasn't many places. No, there wasn't too many places to dance. Like when the Savoy was open, there wasn't maybe a couple of places to dance, maybe a bar here and there or something like that. Yeah. Um, I don't think Smalls. I don't even think Smalls was still open at that time.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was just one or two bars, here and there. Yeah.
And what were the students like?
What was the what like?
What were the students like? The people that were learning?
Oh, well, when I was rehearsing with Al, we didn't come in contact with any of the students there. We had a certain room at a certain time, and that's where we would go in and just rehearse. Yeah. So we didn't come in contact with any of the students at his studio.
Uh, was there ever a time that you stopped dancing?
Oh, I stopped dancing a couple of times.
What
I lived in Connecticut for like 13 years, and I was living up there. I had just I said, well, I guess Lindy Hop is over with, that type of thing. And that's when that's when Sally Summers got me in touch with Larry um, Monahan. I can't think of his first name. Terry. Yeah, I forgot Terry's first name. Monahan. Yeah, Sally got me in touch with uh,
with Terry?
Terry Monahan.
Yeah.
He was at her house one day, and she called me and she said, "There's a gentleman here that I want you to speak to." So I said, "Okay," because Sally and I were friends, and she put him on the phone, and he says, "I'm from London, England, and my name is Terry Monahan." And he says, "I have a dance group in London, and I'd like to come and interview you." So I says, "Okay, fine." So because she had told me before she put him on the phone, she said it's safe to talk to him. He's a good guy, and he wants to interview you. So I said, "Okay, fine." So we made an appointment. He came up on Sunday. He came up like 9 o'clock in the morning, and he stayed until midnight.
Oh wow.
We talked all day long, you know. Yeah, we came. Yeah, I gave him lunch and dinner, and we just talked and talked and talked. And then he said he was bringing me to London. He said, "I'm going to bring you to London to be in my. I have a dance weekend every year, and I like for you all like for you to be there. I like the students to talk to you, and I like for you to perform." So I said, "So no problem, you know." So I said, "Oh, my chance to go to Europe. I have never been any place in Europe." Yeah. So that's what happened, and he finally called me and brought me to London. My son went with me the first time I went, and I think that was 1999 the first time I went,
Okay.
and
So y-
we did that for a few years. Yes, we did that for some years. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Ania from Cleveland wanted to know if you ever thought about quitting dancing and doing something else. So it sounds like you just took a little bit of a break. What did you do in that time when you weren't dancing?
Well, I was working. I had a job. You know, I worked in a department store in Connecticut when I was in Connecticut. Yeah, I did that. And a few times I had jobs through the years, you know, when you were dancing and things got slow, you couldn't get a gig or something, you know. Even when we had the review and we would come home and we'd be home for a week. If we're home like it goes into a month, Sonny, we say we're going to get us a job. So as soon as the girls go get a job, Sonny goes out on the road and books work, you know, because he don't want us to get away from him. So that's what he would do. And maybe we work on a job a couple of weeks or something, and then he say, okay, he lined up some work, and then when he come back, he says, okay, we're leaving town on Friday. You know, we're going to such place, and he tell us where we're going, how long we're going to be there. You know, because when we went out of town like that, we never did one nighters. We only did one nighters at home.
Right.
But we went away. It was like a week here, 2 weeks there, 3 weeks a month, that type of thing in one place. Yeah.
What was Can you tell us what the show was like when you would perform those week-long gigs? Was it song
Oh,
and dance?
well, we started out just dancing, and it wasn't long. We would do African, Latin. We would do tap dancing, modern jazz, and we'd end up our show with the Lindy Hop. My partner was a girl. There was a girl. She threw me. I was the flyer, and then Sonny and Barbara would finish up with aerials. They would do aerials at the end. We would open it up, and then they would end it up with aerials. Yeah.
That's Barbara Billups.
Yes, Barbara Billups. Right. Yeah.
Uh,
My partner was her name was her last name was Thacker, but we called her Mommy.
huh.
We called her Mommy. That was her nickname. So that was my partner, and she threw me around. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. When you took a little bit of a break, did you think that swing dancing was done?
Some of your words. Your words are, I'm
I'm having a hard
listening to
time
some
hearing you.
words.
Is that better?
Let's see.
Okay.
It's,
You
you said,
Absolutely. When uh, you kind of took a break from dancing, and you had mentioned that you thought swing was kind of done, or Lindy was kind of done. Did
right.
you ever think it would come back, or did you think it was done for good?
Oh, I figured it was gone for good, you know. I figured it was like a phase like anything else, because like the dancing would change. Because we had the swing era, which was great, and you had the disco and you had the go-go girls, and I did all of that. So I just figured it was its time and it was over, because it had started in the 30s. So I figured it was gone forever.
So,
Yeah.
what was your impression like when you started to see it coming back? What
I
was
was thrilled. I was thrilled when I went to Europe and I saw all these dancers. When I went to London, I said, "Oh my gosh, they're dancing over here. They've been dancing over here for years," and I didn't know it. Yeah,
did it look like
because I went there in '99 and it came live over there like in the late '80s. Yeah.
did it a lot like the dancing that you remember doing, or did it look different to you?
It wasn't too different, because Where I went with Terry Monahan, his dancers were great. You know, they were doing Savoy Lindy Hop. That's what they were doing. The group that he had, the Jive and Lindy Hoppers.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, Jive Lindy Hoppers, right? Yeah, Jive and Lindy Hoppers,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Because I was in a group called Jive and Diz, and I was getting the two mixed up right then. Yeah, I really was. Yeah. So it wasn't that different what they were doing. You know, some dances were different, of course, because they were coming from different places, and I didn't know that they had learned it from Al Mims. He had been over there, because when I was dancing with him, Larry wanted to send us to Europe, and in '82, I had just remarried, and for this was my second time, and I says, okay, I go for just a couple of weeks. And he says, well, no, you're gonna be there longer than that. So I said, no, I don't want to do that. I says, because I think show business broke up my last marriage. I says, so I won't go. So he says, so because we had a handshake as my manager. It was a handshake, and so he says, "I'll let you out of your that was our contract." He says, "But I have to send him." So I says, "Okay, fine, no problem." So he got another girl to dance. So she was a jazz dancer, and he went to Europe. She went to Europe with him.
You went 15 years later. You got
Yeah, yeah. But while he was over there, that's who Terry Monahan had him teach his dancers.
Hmm.
So that's who they got the Lindy from. So they were doing Savoy Lindy Hop. Yeah.
Did you when did you move out of New York City in the 90s?
Uh, yeah. When we went there, well, '87 we moved out to Connecticut. We left Connecticut. Yeah. We were in Connecticut. We left Connecticut in '87. We had been there 13 years.
Okay. Uh,
Yeah.
did you go into the city and dance with what became the New York Swing Dance Society? Did you go to the
Oh
Cat?
yeah. I used to go to New York.
Yeah.
Because Bridgeport, Connecticut wasn't that far. I took New York Central, and I would go to New York, on Sunday nights to dance at the
Club?
I can't think of the name of it, the club. I used to go there on Sunday nights,
Is
but I
it
can't remember the name.
Cat Club?
Cat Club. At the Cat Club, yeah, yeah. And Sonny was working at the time at the Pierre Hotel, and we would run into each other there on Sunday nights, you know. So when the first time I went there and I said, "Oh, you come here?" He said, "Yeah, I come here almost every Sunday night, and then I leave here and I go to work because I go to work at 12 o'clock."
Wow.
So I said, "Okay, yeah, I'll come down some Sunday nights. And then when you're ready to go to work, I'll leave. I'll go back to Grand Central, and I'll go home." So that's what I used to do. Yeah, I wouldn't go every Sunday night, but some Sunday nights I would go.
What was the crowd like at those events? Was it a lot of folks that were
Oh yeah,
or was it a
I missed all of that.
sorry, was it the crowd a lot of folks that you knew from back in the day? Was it a lot of younger folks? Was it a mix? What was it like?
There was a couple of people from that used to go to Savoy that
Uh-huh.
used to go there, and Buster used to go there. Buster Brown. Buster Brown used to go there, so I would see him too. Yeah, because he Lindy Hop. Yeah, and we danced together once as partners on a gig that Sonny had booked.
Right.
I would see him, and there was a couple other people that used to go there that was still around. Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
And was it live music?
Was it?
Live music, a live band?
Oh, it was live bands. Yes, it was live band on Sunday night. Yeah, and Frankie was there. Frankie would go there. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. What how did what was your impression of the swing dance scene and community as it kind of regrew over the 80s and 90s into, when it kind of hit that big explosion in 1998 and 1999 when it was kind of everywhere again. What was it like to watch that grow, and how involved were you with the scene at that time?
Um, well, that's when I was going. I started going to London, in '99, which was great. And that's when I found out that they were Lindy hopping in New York and everything. How popular it was again. But that was with the Harlem's, not the Harlem, the New York Swing Society,
Right.
the New York Swing Society, and there was a church that they would have had dancing at, and I found out about that from Margaret Barachek, and I used to go there, on Sunday nights. Yeah.
So someone else asked, was curious, and I'm actually also curious.
I'm missing words. I'm missing words.
I don't know if it's my microphone or if it's your speaker. I'll try to speak up a little bit more. Um, some folks are curious about what you like and don't like about the modern swing dance scene, what you see today.
What I like and don't like. Well, what I like, because there's a lot of it. um, there's not a lot of it in the Black communities. That's what I don't like, especially in New York, because that's where it was born. It was born right there in Harlem, and I'm sorry that it's not more of it there in Harlem. But I love that there's so many people everywhere in the world right now, everywhere in the world before the pandemic came. And it's so great. I met people from Madagascar. Can you imagine? I mean, and I met Black people from Madagascar that was Lindy hopping. Okay. And it's like my daughter says, it's global. It is everywhere. Taiwan, Korea. They dance in Moscow, in the Red Square. I love it. It's so great. It is so great. Yeah.
It's really amazing. There has been a lot of conversation lately about, um, the dance, kind of trying to get back to its roots in the community of Harlem and New York and the Black community. And
Yes, the Harlem Swing Society. They're
right,
trying to get that started,
yeah,
and get it in schools, which is great,
yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of conversation about cultural appropriation and the subject matter of Black Lives Matter, and that's on the front of a lot of swing dancers' minds right now. Is that something that you have any thoughts about?
Well, I don't really like to talk a lot about, I don't like the way things are going, of course, with a lot of these arrests and things like that, and people getting killed by police and white killing Black, and I don't like that at all, of course,
Sure.
and I hope that it can be straightened out, really. It's just a matter of more respect for each other, Black or white. That's all we need. We need to respect each other and love each other. That's the whole thing, and if that could happen, then the world would become perfect. You know what I'm saying?
It
And
would be a lot better.
that's hard to do, but it can be done. It can be done because we all have people that we love that are different colors, you know, and I don't understand why it can't be done globally, you know.
Do you see that? Do you have any thoughts about that in context of Lindy Hop today and the swing dance community?
Yes, dance. Lindy Hop is love. It really is. It's the dancing and everybody that comes together, and nobody cares about what color who is what. The important thing is, can they dance? That's the only thing that's important. And we get together and we dance like that. And everywhere I go, it's like that. So I don't understand why we all can't be like that.
I agree. Where do you see the current scene going in the future? How do you see it developing?
How do I see it?
The current swing dance scene. Do you
Well, it was going fine before the pandemic came in, you know. I mean, the people were coming from everywhere, you know. I was meeting people in Sweden from everywhere, and I'm hoping that it'll get back to that. You know, it's the pandemic now that's it's the COVID-19 we have to get rid of. Yeah,
well,
we got to get rid of that first.
I'm hopeful that the new vaccines will help, and I'm hopeful that people will be smart and stay home and
Oh
stay
yes,
their
yes.
masks.
And when they get the vaccines, you know, circulating among people, it'll be back to it again, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Outside of getting rid of the pandemic that everyone hates, do you have any hopes for what the swing dance community will look like? How it will continue to develop?
Well, I know there's black dancers in different cities now. You know, I know there's some in Cleveland, and I think I heard Chicago. You know, and that'll make a difference. And in Harlem, you know, that they're doing something in the schools. So I'm sure that it'll work itself out, and there'll be just more Lindy Hoppers all over the world, more Lindy Hoppers in all the communities. Yeah.
I agree. I'm excited for us to get back to growing uh,
Yes.
in size and thought when it comes to Lindy Hop. I do have a couple of other questions that some folks asked that I would love to get to.
Okay.
Let me see. Uh, we had another question from Gabby in Cleveland, and she wanted to know who your favorite partner to dance with was. Who was your favorite partner?
Well, my favorite partner was, well, of course, my first husband that I won the Harvest Moon Ball with, you know, and I was sorry that he didn't want to travel. You know, he didn't like performing. You know, he didn't care for performing at all. He loved the dancing, but he didn't care to perform. You know, and so he liked teaching. He loved teaching. You know, so after when I was traveling, he was teaching like the dancers that came after us. You know, so I forgot to what the question was.
Who your favorite partner was?
Oh, my favorite part. And besides him, there was Al Mims, of course, and Sonny. You know, Sonny and I were very good together. You know, I had stopped doing aerials at that time. You know, I didn't do any aerials, but I trusted myself with my husband. You know, and after that, it was hard to trust anyone with doing aerials. You know, and the girl partner that I had, Mommy, I trusted myself with her. But after that, I didn't trust doing any aerials. You know,
Did you have a
but
different?
I've had a couple of good dancers that dance on the floor, like Buster Brown. I told you Buster, and there was Peter Loggins, you know, and but this was just floor work, you know, not aerials. Yeah.
Do you have different favorite partners for performing versus social dance?
Well, the only ones I did performing with was like I said, it was Buster and my husband George Sullivan,
Yeah.
and I did a little bit with Al Mims, but not much, you know. But mostly it was floor dancing. But I've had a lot of good floor dancing partners, you know. Now, when I go to Sweden, there's Ricard, and he's great. He's from
Mm.
Sweden, and he's very good. Yeah. And let's see, and of course, Chester Whitmore from California. Oh my gosh.
Just
Yeah.
a character.
Yes, Chester is great. Okay, Chester is a genius when it comes to dancing and music. Oh yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Um, I'm also curious. Last time that we talked, when we were at ILHC last year, You hadn't had a chance to watch any of the competitions yet, but you said you were going to. So I'm curious a year later if any of those performances stuck with you, or if there was any kind of general impressions that you had about what you saw at ILHC last year.
Oh my gosh. If I can just remember names, that's the thing. I love watching, oh my goodness, to remember names. Peter
Strom.
Strom, Minnesota. Yes. I love to see him dance. Let me see, who else? Oh my gosh, there's so many. Sky, yes, Sky. Oh my, he has his own style. Whenever I see him, he's like he's changed his style again. But his Lindy Hop is great, you know. There's so many, you know. Frida, female Frida. Remy, yes, Remy is a great dancer. Yes, that's another one. That's the names I was trying to remember. My daughter told me.
There.
Yeah. Naomi, Peter and Naomi. Yes, yes.
Excellent. Those are all.
Oh, okay. Latasha.
Yeah.
Yes, you know Latasha's dancing.
She lives right down the street from me.
Oh, really? Yes. Latasha's great. Yes.
Love her.
Okay, and Angela.
Oh,
you know Angela?
Angela Andrews.
Yes.
From London.
Angela Andrews, yes. There's quite a few, and there's some of them I can't remember their names, but yes, yeah.
Pretty good. I forget their names half the time, so don't feel bad.
Yeah. But Latasha danced with us, with Barbara and I, and so did Angela.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So did you, when you were watching some of the performances, did it remind you a lot of the dancing and the performances that you saw and did back in the day, or was it different for you?
Oh, yes. When I see the competitions, you know, it makes me remember the contests that we used to have in the Savoy, you know, because we would have contests on Friday night among ourselves, you know. We would have competitions, you know, and they would pick the winners, and then when private organizations would book the Savoy for their dances and what have you, they wanted entertainers, you know, maybe do one number, and we would Mr. Buchanan would pick out couples to perform for them, you know, and that would come from the contests that we've had among ourselves. Yeah.
What did the contests at the Savoy look like? What was the format? Do you remember?
Oh, what do you mean format?
Was it just an informal thing? It wasn't as formal as like ILHC was, very structured?
Oh, no, there wouldn't be that much of it. No. Yeah. You know, it would just be among us. You know, there wouldn't be dancers from outside of the Savoy. It would be among the dancers that's regulars at the Savoy.
And who picked the winners?
And then we would dance, you know, maybe all at once and then one at a time. And then Mr. Buchanan would pick the winners, you know, first, second, third prize.
He was the lone.
Right. Judge. Yes. He would be it.
That's amazing. I can't imagine Sylvia Sykes would go for that at ILHC. The judge. Although it might make things a lot easier. I don't know. I do have we're getting close on time. I do have a couple more questions that I would love to ask you from some folks that are listening. Jermaine and Jonathan were curious about who the nicest dancer and the funniest dancers were.
I missed some words there.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'll go again. Jermaine and Jonathan wanted to know who the nicest swing dancer and the funniest swing dancer were.
Yes.
Funniest.
Funniest?
Yeah.
Funniest. Back in my time. Oh, at the Savoy, you saying? Okay, Ronald Hayes, he was comical. Yeah, because he would do comedy things, and he would do he would dance blindfolded, that type of thing, doing aerials too, Yeah, he would do stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, he make faces and stuff like that, Now you said the nicest, right?
Yeah.
The nicest. The nicest. Me and my partner. Of course.
Of course. Well, sadly, we are almost out of time. So I did want to just see if there was anything else that you wanted to, any knowledge or wisdom that you wanted to drop on the folks that are watching around the world this year live with us. Is there anything that you would like to?
Well, I just like to tell them to just try to keep dancing, keep the dancing up, ones that live near each other if they can, that type of thing, or partners that live together, just try to keep dancing. Let's keep it alive until we can all get back together and show it to each other and dance with each other, share the true history. And share the true history of the dance. That's another thing. Yes.
Well, I would like to just thank you for sharing your true history with us once again.
Thank you very much.
An honor and a treat. And I could just talk to you all day long, and I understand why Terry sat with you all day. And I'm grateful for that. So thank you so much.
Very welcome, Ryan.
Thank you. And I will also just tell folks as we're going that once again, this is part of the ILHC 2020 LED series, which is free for everyone. There are going to be there's going to be some additional programming tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, that is free for everyone to watch. On Saturday, November 28th, from 11:45 to 12:45 p.m. There will be an interview with Ruth Reingold, interviewed by Sky Humphreys, one of your favorites, Sugar,
yes.
from 2006. And on Sunday, November 29th, from 10:10 to 11 a.m. Eastern, these are all Eastern times, Gloria Cadwell and Dave Butts were interviewed by Peter Strom in 2006. So we'll be presenting that. Another one of your favorites, Sugar. You've got good taste.
Yeah.
And lastly, from 11:10 a.m. to 11:40 a.m. Eastern time, we will be coming to you live from Woodlawn Cemetery in New York City, where we will be streaming the unveiling of Norma Miller's headstone. I will be up for that. There's some programming for everyone to see. So once again, I'd like to thank ILHC, Tina, Sylvia, and Scott for giving me this opportunity. And I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in and watching. And of course, lastly, one more time, I would like to thank Sugar Sullivan for joining us today and gracing her with her presence, wisdom, and history. Thank you, Sugar.
Very welcome. Very welcome. Could I get a rundown of all of that in my email, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything? I talked with Gloria and David Butts a couple of weeks ago. We talked. Yes. Yeah, we were on Zoom. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank God for Zoom, right?
Yes. Very much so.
Yeah.
Otherwise, my girls wouldn't be able to work. Yes, my daughter, my granddaughters, they're working every day. Yes.
So stay tuned, everybody. Tune in for the rest of the weekend. I hope you're having a great virtual ILHC 2020. We are so glad you're here. And stay tuned for all of the great lessons and performances and competitions and social dancing this weekend. I'll be DJing Friday and Saturday nights, and there's DJing for social dancing. We've got shifts around the world, so tune in for that as well. And that said, I'll turn it back over to ILHC. Thanks, everybody.
And everybody try to stay safe.
Stay safe. Wear your mask. Stay
yes, wear your mask.